Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we are unpacking an absolutely massive opportunity for engineering and science students across India. We're talking about stepping inside the highly classified, incredibly prestigious walls of the Defense Research and Development Organization, you know it as DRDO. Now, getting into India's premier defense R&D organization is a dream for so many, right? But the path is rigorous, and the process itself is notoriously fragmented across a bunch of different lab notifications. But don't worry, we've got you covered. By pulling together the official 2026 notifications, the Times of India announcements, and some really solid expert interview guidance, we've built an incredible insider's playbook just for you.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Look at that headline figure from the recent Times of India report, a total stipend of 30,000 rupees. Now, this is incredibly important because it immediately signals that this isn't just some regular internship where you're, grabbing coffee or making photocopies for the higher-ups. Not at all. This is a highly sought-after, fully funded mission. You are literally being paid to contribute to actual, real-world national defense research.
If you're an engineering student who wants to bridge that frustrating gap between boring textbook theory and high-stakes practical application, well, this is your arena. This is all about validating your goal of serving the nation by actually getting your hands on real, cutting-edge defense technologies. It is absolutely the ultimate dream for Indian technocrats. But because it's so prestigious, you better believe the competition is going to be immense.
So here is our roadmap for today's briefing. 1. The DRDO 2026 Internship. 2. Participating labs and vacancies. 3. Eligibility and stipend details. 4. The application playbook. And 5. Cracking the DRDO interview.
All right, let's kick things off with Part 1, the DRDO 2026 Internship, the call to action.
So, what exactly is this program? Well, according to the official Ministry of Defense announcement, this paid internship is a 4 to 6 month hands-on research program that kicks off in May or June of 2026. It's specifically designed for engineering and general science students to work directly alongside actual DRDO scientists and engineers. Guys, this is a serious commitment. The government's whole goal here is to enhance your research aptitude through direct engagement with real defense initiatives. You're going to be exposed to incredibly advanced technological systems and top-tier project execution methodologies.
Moving right along to Part 2, participating labs and vacancies, mapping the R&D landscape. And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer scale of the opportunity here. Normally, figuring out where you can apply means digging through a dozen disconnected PDFs, but we've consolidated the data to give you the big picture. You've got Chess and DLRL operating out of Hyderabad, and they're seeking heavy numbers of electronics, computer science, and mechanical engineers. I mean, DLRL alone has 40 vacancies for ECE and 25 for CSE. Then you have PXE out in Chandipur, Odisha, which focuses on dynamic testing of armaments. DEBL is based in Bangalore, and DLJ is up in Jodhpur. Basically, whether you're an undergrad or postgrad in engineering or science, there's very likely a specific node in this massive network looking for your exact skill set.
Now, looking at official crests for facilities like CHS and DLRL is a powerful reminder that these aren't just standard corporate offices. Not even close. These are classified, highly secure government facilities dealing with high-energy systems, lasers, and advanced defense electronics. Because of that, getting in doesn't just require intelligence, it requires strict adherence to specific rules, extremely tight security protocols, and exceptionally high academic standards.
Which brings us to Part 3, eligibility and stipend details, the rules of engagement.
Let's be real, DRDO only selects top-tier academic performers. You absolutely must be pursuing your BE, B.Tech, ME, or M.Tech, and they generally prefer final-year students, specifically those entering their 7th or 8th semesters. You need stellar academics. We're talking a minimum 7.5 CGPA on a 10-point scale or 75% marks overall. You also need to be under 28 years of age as of May 1, 2026. Oh, and you must have an absolutely clean record. 0 current backlogs are permitted. None. Also, take note of this. You are required to have a minimum physical attendance of 15 working days per month at the lab to actually stay in the program.
Now, let's talk about that stipend, because the payment structure is actually pretty unique. You don't just get a monthly paycheck right away. Here's how it works. You join around May to July of 2026. After you successfully complete your first 3 months, boom, your first installment of 15,000 rupees is credited to your bank account. Then, upon successfully completing the full 6 months, the remaining 15,000 is paid out and you get your official certificate. But be warned, if you leave midway, Or if you fail to maintain that 15-day monthly attendance requirement, you get zero money and you get no certificate of completion.
All right, part 4, the application playbook, navigating the bureaucratic map.
Listen up, because if you're used to quick one-click digital applications, this is going to be a reality check. Submitting your application involves 3 non-negotiable, surprisingly analog steps. First, you have to physically go to the DRDO Careers portal and download the offline PDF forms specific to the lab you're targeting. Second, and this is absolutely critical, you cannot just apply on your own. You have to obtain an official no-objection certificate or a referral letter, physically signed and stamped by your college principal or director right on the college letterhead. Third, you've got to send all these physical documents via speed post or registered post so they arrive well before the strict deadline of May 15, 2026.
Now, let's say you get shortlisted. Joining day requires some very serious documentation. Sure, you need your Aadhaar card, college ID, and all your original mark sheets. But look at these next ones. A local police verification report to literally prove you have no criminal background. A medical fitness certificate. And most intensely, you must sign an undertaking for the Indian Official Secrets Act of 1923, plus an undertaking for the strict Ministry of Defense IT and cybersecurity rules. You are legally binding yourself to maintain absolute confidentiality. There is a total, strict ban on sharing any sensitive, proprietary, or classified data you might see during your tenure.
Let's move to and see how this builds into part 5, cracking the DRDO interview, the final boss. Because honestly, to even get this internship, you usually have to clear an interview. And trust me, this isn't a casual chat over coffee. How do you survive a panel of up to 12 highly senior defense scientists staring right at you? We're talking about absolute veterans at the scientist G rank or even director-level experts. It can be incredibly intimidating.
To survive this, you really have to understand the stark contrast between a standard corporate interview and the DRDO panel. A standard industry interview usually has a heavy HR focus, it tests convergent thinking to find a single correct answer, and they just want you to solve standard textbook problems as fast as possible. But the DRDO interview, it is almost purely technical. There is barely any HR talk. They are testing divergent thinking. They'll give you a practical problem you have literally never heard of, just to see your assumptions, your unique perspective, and your fundamental approach. They'll even throw you hints as you work, just to test how adaptable you are to new information on the fly.
So based on expert interview guidance, here are your specific survival tactics. First, know your own B.Tech or M.Tech projects inside and out, because they will absolutely grill you on them. Next, expect the difficulty to ramp up with every single correct answer you give. They're actively trying to find the absolute limit of your understanding. You will literally be handed a pen and paper or asked to stand up and write out your solution on a whiteboard. And here is rule number 1, never, ever bluff a room full of top defense scientists. If you don't know an answer, just admit it calmly. Focus on practical applications and always remember the underlying physics, because the basis of all real engineering is science. And finally, don't panic about the clock. Time isn't a metric of your performance here. These interviews can stretch out to 30 minutes of deep technical discussion.
So the crucial point is summarized perfectly by this quote from the interview guidance. Scientists are not much interested in final answer, but approach you follow. They know you're a student. They honestly don't expect you to have every complex formula perfectly memorized. What they want to see is the gears turning in your head when you're faced with a complex, real-world defense problem. And it leaves us with a pretty fascinating question to ponder as you go off to prepare your application. Does true engineering lie in simply memorizing the right answers from a textbook, or is it having the courage and the critical thinking skills to tackle the unknown? Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, guys. Get those applications mailed out before May 15th, and we'll see you on the next Explainer.